For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of the Wednesday practice leading up to Stanford. It was a normal Wednesday practice, just shells only, shoulder pads only. And I think Tuesday was a little bit more reactionary to Saturday's game. Today was more business as usual.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could tell. They went harder, they went longer. They did things a couple of different times. Tuesday, they were in full pads. Today, I think it got back to this is our routine, this is how we do it. I think they're still adding an extra scout team period at the end for both the offense and defense. So, and there is a more detail-oriented approach because it's Stanford. I mean, it's just they do things differently. They do things, they don't make mistakes. You can't make mistakes. So if you didn't know they were playing somebody that really mattered, and you just showed up at practice, you'd probably be able to tell that because it's very obvious. This is almost like a classroom setting a little bit, the way they approach, say, a Stanford game, because they can't make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. It was defensive day, so we did get to bring up the Western Michigan game to the players, and I think the common theme we were hearing was there's no tape, new personnel. We didn't really know what we were gearing up for. I mean, I talked to Clancy and he told the guys 80% of what they practiced leading up to the game they weren't going to use in the actual game.
Yeah, I think he said 3 times that I was there. We're moving on to Stanford this week. You now get players saying, yeah, we probably had too much time on our hands the whole summer, and yeah, they probably shouldn't have gotten us ready for 3 completely different offenses, and yeah, that may have, been one of the factors that we couldn't get lined up properly, or they talk about they weren't getting lined up correctly. Well, one of the reasons is they were very often looking back to the middle linebacker to say, what's the call? What are we doing? And they were the young guys and all that. But yeah, Porter Gustin was talking about it's not very comfortable when you got your back turned and they're snapping the football. It doesn't even matter if you're lined up correctly or not. That's probably not going to be a good thing. And he said, yeah, we ended up having to come down. We got too used to having to come down and make plays in the guard. If you're an outside linebacker, you probably shouldn't have to be making tackles, in that guard gap. But they were having to. And they really got out of whack, especially the first half. And then, Clancy said a lot of missed tackles. Why were there missed tackles? What was going on with the defense? Didn't get a good answer. Nobody has to this point given us a good answer as to why were you not ready to play in that game. And it's basically move on to Stanford. We got to, we'll do it right this week. We've taken care of it. We fixed it up. We're good to go. We'll see.
Well, I mean, have you seen anything on the practice field that would indicate that they're taking care of it? Or is this, in your mind, is it more they're just like, that was a fluke thing and we're just moving on to Stanford?
I think that's what they're thinking because they know how they practiced. And people can second guess us all we want. We know what we saw. They practiced really well, certainly the first 3 weeks of the summer. I mean, that offense that couldn't run the ball against USC's defense ran the ball against a really nice, good Western Michigan defense and ran it really well. They couldn't do that for the first 3 weeks against this defense. They got to a plateau. It looks like they wanted to maintain that. Let's stay right there. We're good to go. And that's hard to do. I think it's hard to just maintain that play. You got to just keep going and going and going. They didn't do that. And then to complicate things by getting them ready for 3 different offenses, I mean, that's one of those things that coaches maybe had too much time on their hands. They had the ability to say, well, this coach came from Indiana, and this is what he ran. This coach came from Syracuse, and this is what this coach came from Purdue. And it's like, well, let's get ready for all of them. You can't. That's the problem. Kids can only, and what happened is Western Michigan had the same offensive linemen and the same running backs they had last year. So they just said, we're going to go with our running backs and our linemen, and we're just going to keep running it at you. And as Chris Hawkins, I guess, said, heck, they just did what they did last year. And they could have gotten ready for what they did last year. They didn't. So they had a tendency to be just standing around and not, flying around. I asked Clay today, he talked about Stanford's the best team in the country at third and either, anywhere from 1 to 5, third and short. they are the best team in the country. And I said, can you just stand there and wait and react and keep them out of 3rd and short? Or do you have to take some chances? He said, well, I was with Clancy, I'm not going to give away the game plan, but I was with Clancy, Monday and Tuesday, and he's got a lot of tools, a lot of weapons that he can use, and I think we're going to use them. So make of that what you will. I do not think you're going to see a repeat of the Western Michigan game.
Mm-hmm. As far as injury updates go, Bubba Bolden tweeted that he'd be back for the Stanford game, but we haven't really seen that. He's been held out precautionarily wise. Helton said he's doubtful for Saturday. Chuma Adoga, on the other hand, he practiced today with a knee brace with that bone bruise that he got again on Saturday. But Helton says he looks promising and more likely for Saturday.
Yeah, he made it through the whole practice. Yeah. Yesterday he had to go in and do some cardio and rehab and today he was out there for the whole thing. However, at right tackle they had Andrew Boyes, who will be the main replacement, in Clayton Johnston if it comes to that. And I don't know that, I don't think we have any idea right now, what's going to happen with that. I think Bubba Bolden is more referencing he'll be there to watch. He's not going to be there to play. I mean, you can't not practice and then show up and play against Stanford. It'd be nice to have him. One of the big, safeties against their tight ends, but that's not happening.
Mm-hmm. As far as wide receiver rotation goes, we've been seeing Joseph Lewis kind of get more into the mix, more consistently on second team, some flashes of first team. What are you seeing in the wide receivers? Are we going to see guys other than Jalen Green and Stephen Mitchell?
Well, I know somebody was doing a story, so they ask about Joseph Lewis, and he'll give you an answer. But the guy we're seeing more of is Trevon Sidney. He's the one. Caught a pass, he got in there. They're using him as a punt returner. They're using him. They're throwing the ball to him. So he might be one of the guys to keep an eye on. He certainly catches the ball. If it's near him, he will catch it. So I don't know. He's got a little bit of he got a little bit of bounce. He got a little bit of quicks, and he would be. Of the two that I thought that they're really working with. Velus Jones and Trevon Sidney. So we'll see. I don't know. But, they're trying to find who's that next guy ready to step up. Yeah. And I don't know that they found him yet, but they keep looking.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for Wednesday practice for Stanford week. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.